Hi, I'm Liz Dennison with Secret Garden Birds and Bees. We're an all-volunteer 501c3 organization working with wildlife rehabilitators, falconers, naturalists, biologists, and beekeepers to share our love of nature and wildlife with our communities. Today, I'm very excited to be here talking about 4 owl superpowers. And I've brought 4 of my friends along who know a whole lot about it. So let's get started right away with superpowered owls. This is Hodor, a great horned owl. Great horned owls get their name from these feathers that stick up at the top of their heads and look a little bit like horns. But they're not horns, and they're not ears either. They're just feathers, and nobody really knows what they're for. But how Hodor holds them, whether they are straight up, out to the side, or laid back, tells me a little bit about what he's thinking. And today I think he's a little bit annoyed to be out here with me in the middle of the day when he'd rather be napping and waiting for the night. Great horned owls are the biggest owls that live here in Virginia, but it isn't only their size that makes them great. They only weigh between 2 and 5 pounds, but they are extremely strong. Hodor here weighs about 3 pounds, but he can squeeze my arm about 5 times harder than a 160-pound man can. And with these big sharp talons, that would really hurt if I didn't wear this big glove. Great horned owls are so big and strong that they have no predators in the wild. Nothing messes with a great horned owl. Now, Hodor is here today to help me talk about the first superpower that all owls have. Night vision, the ability to see in the dark. Look how big Hodor's bright yellow eyes are. His eyes are the same size as mine, and I'm a lot bigger than Hodor. If I were an owl, my eyes would be as big as oranges. Owls need these big eyes to take in as much light as possible to see well at night. But they can see well in the daytime, too. Their pupils, the black part of the eye that opens and closes to let in more light when it's dark and less light when it's bright, works just like ours. But owl eyes don't always work just like ours. Owls can't move their eyes to look up and down and side to side like we can. Also, owls don't see much color. To an owl, the world looks mainly black and white and gray. And they don't see well up close. So they use these stiff feathers around their beak to feel what's going on around their face. But at night, they can see many times better than we can. So now we've talked about an owl's first superpower, night vision. Next, we'll meet a screech owl, Kvasir, to learn about their second superpower, invisibility. But before we do, let's listen to what a great horned owl sounds like. Now let's meet Kvasir. We call him Vas. Vas is an eastern screech owl. He's not a baby. He's a full-grown adult owl, just a very small one. Screech owls are the smallest owls that live here in this part of Virginia, and they're a favorite snack for great horned owls. Small owls like Vas don't like to be out in the open where predators can find them. Even though he has a sharp beak and needle-like talons and is very strong for his size, he really can't defend himself against something as big as a great horned owl. So he would hide. He might duck into a hole in a tree or find some other little nook or cranny to hide in. But sometimes there's not a good hiding place nearby, and that's okay, because Vas can use his second superpower to stay safe. He can use camouflage to become invisible. An owl's feathers look a lot like the bark of a tree, so to hide, Vas would stand the little feathers on top of his head straight up. He would make himself really skinny and close his big bright eyes and vanish. If you could see him at all, he would look like nothing more than a little broken stick and nothing that a great horned owl would want to eat. Look how hard it is to see Vas when I hold him up against this tree, and he's not even trying to hide. Now, Hodor can use camouflage too, but not to hide from predators who want to eat him. Hodor would use camouflage to hide and sneak up on his prey. So now we've talked about two owl superpowers, night vision and invisibility. Next, we'll meet barred owl Scarlet to talk about a third superpower, silent flight. But before we do, let's listen to what a screech owl sounds like. They don't hoot. Screech owls trill and whinny. This is Scarlet. Scarlet is a barred owl. There are lots of barred owls here in Northern Virginia, and they're the owl you're most likely to see and hear because they're a little more active during daylight hours than most other owls. Scarlet looks almost as big as Hodor, and she is big for a barred owl, but she's really only a little more than half Hodor's weight. That's because she's mostly fluff. Look how far I can put my finger into her feathers before I actually touch her head. Under all those feathers, her head is really only a little bigger than a billiard ball. So now we know that owls have super night vision and invisibility. Scarlet is here to help me talk about a third superpower, silent flight. And I chose Scarlet because she has all these fluffy feathers, and silent flight is all about an owl's feathers. So what makes an owl's feathers special? Well, when a hawk, a crow, a pigeon, a goose, or any other bird flies, if you listen closely, you can hear the flap, flap, flap of their wings. When an owl flies, you don't hear anything. That's because their feathers have a soft fringe on the end that looks a little bit like tiny hairs, and the surface feels like it's coated in velvet. That changes the way the air flows over their feathers and makes it completely silent. Owls are super stealthy. These superpowers explain why owls are most active at night. They can see in the dark, they are almost invisible, and they move silently. It's easy for them to hide when they need to, and it's easy for them to sneak up on prey and get a good meal. So, Hodor, Voss, and Scarlet have taught us about three superpowers: night vision, invisibility, and silent flight. Now we're going to meet barn owl Phantom to learn about one more superpower, super hearing. But first, let's listen to what a barred owl sounds like. This is Phantom. Phantom is a barn owl. And barn owls really do like to live in old barns and silos, old attics and sheds. But there were barn owls before there were barns, and there are barn owls where there aren't any barns. So they would also live in a hollow tree, a rock crevice, or any place they could find shelter and stay hidden. So far, we've talked about three owl superpowers: night vision, invisibility, and silent flight. Phantom is going to help me talk about the fourth, super hearing. Now, did you even know that owls have ears? Well, of course owls have ears. They're just hidden under their feathers, and they're very large and very sensitive. And this disc of stiff feathers around an owl's face, well, that helps with hearing too. Owl's hearing is so good that most owls hunt by sound rather than by sight. And barn owls, like Phantom here, they have the best hearing of any animal ever tested. Phantom could find a mouse under deep snow, under a big pile of leaves, because she can hear it. She doesn't have to see it. It's even possible that she could hear it breathing or hear its heartbeat, even when it's not moving. Now, there's another interesting thing about owl ears. They don't match. Our ears look pretty much the same on either side of our head, and they're pretty much in the same place on either side of our head. But owl ears are different. Owls have one ear higher than the other and one ear larger than the other. And that helps owls to figure out exactly where a sound is coming from, left or right, up or down, and how far away it is. You can tell where Phantom's ears are because the feathers on the facial disc are a little bit lighter around her ears. I'm not sure you can see that in the video, so here's a picture. Now, let's listen to what phantom sounds like. And I warn you, it's not a hoot or a whinny or a trill. It's more like a scream. So, today we learned about the 4 owls that live right here with us in Northern Virginia. A great horned owl, a screech owl, a barred owl, and a barn owl. And we learned about 4 owl superpowers: night vision, invisibility, silent flight, and super hearing. To learn more about these birds and the wildlife all around us, to find out a little bit about what it takes to be a beekeeper, or to learn more about the education programs that we offer, follow us on Facebook. We are Secret Garden Birds and Bees. Thank you for watching.